said this forever, funerals are not for the person who died. They're for the living.
Yes, they are.
They're the chance to say goodbye. They're the chance to let that person go. And, it comes back to another belief I have of the three deaths. Your first death is your physical death when you leave. The second one is at your funeral where everyone comes to say goodbye to you. You're not saying goodbye to them.
No.
You've gone. And then the last one is the last time someone calls you to mind or speaks your name. And that, for me, is that belief of, people live on in the people around them because they have that connection to them. And they might use a phrase or they might talk about that person, well, exactly as we are now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't know where that belief came from.
Yes.
But I had it similar stuff when my nana passed away when I was probably about 19 or 20.
Oh, that's pre-emergency services.
Yeah, and I did the eulogy at my nana's funeral as well, which was an interesting challenge.
Hello, Quanta folks, and welcome to another episode of Fark the Shoulds podcast. I am Jodi from QuantiMama.
And I'm McGill from QuantiPapa.
Yes, you are.
Hello, Jodi.
Hello there, McGill.
How you going?
I'm going to tell you something really fun. This is episode 50.
Oh, wow. Who knew we had that much to say?
High five. It's pretty cool, huh? So
Yeah.
I was so glad to have this conversation with you and celebrate 50. I mean, I don't know if 49 is any different to 50, is it?
Don't know. We'll find out next year, I suppose.
Well, oh, yes, because you're remarking on the fact that we're half a century next year.
We are, yes.
I know. What is it with round numbers that make people want to celebrate that more than, say, 49? I wonder if 49's feelings are hurt.
And how did 21 slip in there?
Yeah, I know. That's random. It's definitely not Australian.
Maybe it's a bygone era.
So it's interesting we're talking about turning 50 because that's actually not the subject matter today, but it kind of is related as well because we're talking about death done well today.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we've obviously had a bit of reflection time lately. And very recently I had a family member pass away. When I was at the funeral, I bumped into a cousin who I haven't seen for a long time. And we were chatting, and I made the comment that we've finally got to the point now where we're only going to see one another at funerals.
Yeah.
And you think about it, I mean, there was an ongoing joke for me growing up and talk probably in lots of families that, you have 18th, 21st, then you have weddings, babies, and suddenly you move on to a point and you get to the point where it becomes funerals and where... I still think we're a bit early, but we're moving towards that.
Well, I actually think there's a lot more death across the age ranges now too. So it's not shocking to me to hear that people who are in their 30s, 40s and 50s are actually completing their life is how I call it now.
That's not a shock today, but 10 years ago, 5 years ago...
Oh, absolutely.
That was just so out of the ordinary that it wasn't funny.
Absolutely. Before, say, 2019, 2020, I think, is when the death rate went up. But that's a whole other conversation. I think it is a statement of fact. You only have to look at the, Australian Bureau of Statistics to verify the fact that all causal death rates have gone up, right? So anyway... I'm not so much interested in that because there's plenty of other conversations that talk about that. What I'm interested in is I think, again, we have a slightly unusual attitude towards death. And, I mean, look, that's probably been born out of our careers in emergency services, right?
To some degree, but there's also a choice of what lens or what scope you look at death through. And you can look at it as a profoundly challenging and distressing experience, and it can be that. Or you can sort of slide that scope a little bit and go, some people would say, well, we're here to celebrate a life. Or you can slide that scope further and go, well, it was time and they're not, it's probably, well, don't know, but they're in a great beyond. They're probably not really thinking about what we're doing back here in terms of missing them.
How then, because obviously this is going to be the big curly one, how then we haven't experienced a death of a child except for miscarriages, right? So we haven't had a live child die. But how do you suppose you would view that, given we do have, I think, a good acceptance of death? Because I have some ideas. I don't really want to put it to the test, to be honest.
No,
obviously.
No, definitely not.
And I don't want to take away from other people's experiences, but I have a sneaking suspicion that I would probably respond quite differently to other people in the aspect of losing a child or having a child
I think with
die.
children we see them as, I guess to some degree, the future of ourselves, of our legacy, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's a mistake in itself, and that's a whole other conversation.
But we see them as, going on from us. And to have that taken away or to lose that would be absolutely shattering.
And both of those are lack statements. I'm just going to pick up on that too.
But this is what people feel.
Yeah.
This is where we get into that, where it becomes overwhelming. And this is the hopes and dreams and life that we want, believe in, hope for our children is all wrapped up in that disbelief if they're gone. I don't know how I'd go with the loss of a child.
The reason why, again, I'm not curious to tick this off the bucket list really, but I have a suspicion that I have a framework now around the fact that when we lose someone or they die prematurely, all of that is very lack language. If you're living in the present moment and a life completes itself, firstly, underpinning that is I have a belief that we are an energy field occupying a body for the mortal experience, right? So this is essentially a skin sac that facilitates experiences. I don't think that when we drop the body, we cease to exist. I think we reintegrate into the universal soup. So with respect to that then, my thought is that if a child completes its life at what society would consider a young age, yes, there is a feeling of loss, but that loss is actually tied to the fact that we are programmed to live in a lack state, always wanting more, whether that's material or spiritual ascension or whatever, right? Even the idea of ascending or raising your vibration, right? Any of those things are all talking about the fact that somehow they're missing in the present moment. But if any individual completes their life, then they've completed it. They've completed it with their skin sac. And yes, they just happen to complete it with, non-saggy skin and eyesight that's 20/20 and perhaps a greater level of play in their life. But does that mean that their death is premature, or is it actually the time that they're meant to pass?
Well, I mean, that's going to be an eternal question. And you're not going to know that until such time as you decide to leave.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of different things here. The person or the body or the child or whoever's exiting at that point in time, I have a firm belief that once they exit, they're out of here.
Yeah.
They're off doing whatever it is they want to do. So them leaving is for them, and you hear it, you listen to Zach Bush and you hear about the experience he has with bringing these people back from the other side where they're going, I was finally accepted, I was full of love and it was just, why'd you bring me back?
Yes.
And you look at that and you go, well, hang on a minute. They're not concerned. They're gone. What we're looking at is the emotions and the feelings and the attachment, the bonds of affection that we have with that other physical, as you so politely put it, meat sack.
Yep. I didn't say meat sack, I said skin sack. Meat sack somehow sounds dirty, just so you know.
It does. But somehow that we're attached to that. We have a bond of affection with that, and the loss of that bond of affection is something that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, the physicality of it.
And are we programmed for a lack state? Well, maybe, but at the same time, any person losing something that's been such an integral part or something,
shall we say, noticing the absence of
every single day, every single minute of every single day is going to leave a mark, and it's going to be something quite challenging to deal with. And as you said, and I'll highlight again, I'm glad we haven't had to deal with this, because it's such a huge topic. Even if
it's a big thing.
Even having that belief system that, yes, they're off, they're doing their thing, they're into that universal soup, they're moving on to the next experience, whatever they're doing is great for them.
Yeah.
But we come back to that.
Yeah, the people that are left behind.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's what I've
because they haven't let go of that, I guess, the future that they had painted for themselves and their loved one.
And that bond of affection.
I wonder, it's funny because, we had, amongst our many pregnancies, we had 4 miscarriages. And one of the things that always struck me was that sudden extinguishing of a timeline when the miscarriage occurred, because it's mapped out for you, right? Even if you don't have the details, you know that you're going to get rounder for the next however many months. At some point you'll do rapid weight loss and, have a new addition in the family. And it's this kind of timeline forward of even reimagining, how to do life in the family, how that impacts kids you've already got or you're living with or whatever, right? It just impacts everything.
But you look beyond that.
Of course.
You start attaching hopes and dreams and events for this entity that has literally, as you said, has just started out and suddenly it's extinguished. And obviously having been there for all of that and, supporting you through that and myself through that, when it comes to miscarriage, we seem to look at it and go, we almost discount it to a point.
Yeah, because they're not Earthside.
They're not Earthside. So, but you still have that level of connection there.
Well, you're almost gaslit into
about.
Not being connected to it by other people because it's too uncomfortable. Whereas obviously a death of a human that's walking around their own skin sack is more confronting for people.
But maybe that's also coming back to that the bond is there far more because you've had that interaction with that person, you've had far more to do with them, you've had, you've gone through all those little phases of
you've created
wiping
memories.
your bum, of teaching to walk, of, all those things potentially. So that there's a much stronger connection that's got to be disconnected for one of the, well, not fully disconnected because we firm believer that you can send messages out there and get them back.
Yes.
From those across the timelines.
You hook into the
those
energy.
Bonds of affection. They're always there. Some people would say, the person lives on in you. Yeah. Well, yeah, probably to some degree because they've been such a part of your life. So the question then comes down to when you're looking at a timeline that basically didn't get off the ground. Yes. As opposed to one that's been here for...
That's, had a start.
Had 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I think the difference is the bond. It's all those experiences that you have with that.
There's definitely that. There's definitely runs on the board, but I think also it's more weighted in society as well. And so when the greater community has a universal belief system about stuff, then that amplifies that as an expression. It just has to, right? Because a whole lot of people are getting on board with that belief that is so. So let's relieve our beautiful Quanta folks and move away from the idea of a child passing to our parents. Now, again, I haven't had first-hand experience of this, but you have. And I think that partly what we did well, by my assessment, was we held space really beautifully for their passing. The only thing I can relate to is when my grandmother and grandfather passed, and I was present for just my grandfather. I think my grandmother must have passed already by the time I got to the hospital. So, but for the other three, we got to really hold space in the lead up to, or actually as they died, and it felt more reverential and more like how we do birth, which is how I view death. I think death done well mirrors or complements birth done well.
Well, it's probably, I mean, birth and death are the two greatest transitions you're ever going to have in your life.
Well, I've said to the kids, the very meaning of living is to have a death and a birth. That's the deal.
That you can't start without one.
Correct.
And you can't finish without one. So,
there's no race if you don't have a start line or a finish line.
Yeah, you can do without the taxes part, because we all know that old joke. But, yeah, it's interesting. And, look, having had that first-hand experience and also having been in fields where we've dealt with other people's grief when it's been very raw, when they've had someone pass.
You're delivering the news.
You're
present.
Or you're present at the immediate aftermath.
Yes.
You tend to... It's funny because you can really feel the weight and the heaviness of the emotion that is attached in that moment. Now... with obviously the passing of my dad, we knew that was going to happen. And I'd say from a purely practical point of view, I got to spend a great amount of time in there leading up to, and he still had full cognition and that sort of stuff for a while towards the end. And I was able to have conversations that I never would have approached as I just wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And then leading in. So I, for me personally, that bond of affection I really honoured, and I gave and asked every question I wanted to ask. And that probably culminated in the fact that I wrote my father's eulogy and I read it to him in the hospital.
Yeah.
And that was amazing, you know, and watching each of those words in a way that I'd put it together and what I wanted to say about him was just so powerful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was probably the point in time where I was releasing a large amount of that bond of affection. And then the passing came, and it was still... it was expected, and it was still a shock. And it was funny because I remember he was in Melbourne and we were obviously living down close to the beach, and I'd finished work and I was exhausted, but I just had this really strong drive to go and see him in palliative care. And so I must have got there at about 11 o'clock at night and was there for about, actually it would have been earlier than that, but I was there for about an hour. I remember driving home and getting into bed and then getting a phone call probably an hour and a half later, and he'd passed away in that time. And my mum and my sister had been fortunate enough to be back there. But in terms of when it came to the saying goodbye to Dad at his funeral, because funerals, and I've said this forever, funerals are not for the person that died. They're for the living.
Yes, they are.
They're the chance to say you goodbye. They're the chance to let that person go. And, you know, it comes back to another belief I have of the three deaths. You know, your first death is your physical death when you leave. You know, the second one is at your funeral where everyone comes to say goodbye to you. You're not saying goodbye to them.
No.
You've gone. And then the last one is the last time someone calls you to mind or speaks your name. And that, for me, is that belief of, you know, people live on in the people around them because they have that connection to them. And they might use a phrase, or they might talk about that person, well, exactly as we are now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I don't know where that belief came from.
Yes.
But I had it, similar stuff when my nana passed away when I was probably about 19 or 20.
Oh, that's pre-emergency services.
Yeah, and I did the eulogy at my nana's funeral as well, which was an interesting challenge. But at the same time, I think trying to bring a really positive vibration into this sort of field makes a huge difference. And then I guess the other experience that you touched on that goes directly to me was the passing of my mum, where again you and I were all ready to go away for a weekend. And I remember saying to you, I ummed and ahed over it for ages, and I know, you 100% got my back. You are the other half of me. And I think you'd intimated that it was okay if we didn't want to go away. And I was adamant, no, it'll be fine, we're going to go away. And Mum went into hospital on the Thursday. We were due to go away for the weekend. And I just remember saying to you, I don't think we can go away. I think I need to be up near Mum. And your beautiful immediate reaction was, of course. And so we did, and up we went. And then, so Mum had been in and out of hospital, and she had, the health battle along the way. And we went into the hospital, we saw her, and then it was this Sunday morning?
Something like that, Saturday night, something like that.
We went in, and Mum was basically, when I walked in the room, you just knew that she was gone. And I remember we had music going in the background. My beautiful sister and her partner were there, and
we played ABBA a lot for her.
We did,
because she'd expressed an interest in ABBA. So we're like, let's play her some cool music,
and that also made us relax. But I do remember having this beautiful chance again. I remember saying to my dad, I said it to him while he was still able to hear me, thank you, and don't hang around for me. Yeah. If there's anything else you need to do, do it. But, thank you.
Yeah, that discharging of duty.
Again, it was for me.
Yeah.
So I look at that and go, so in terms of dealing and coping with the death, and these haven't been sudden. No. So we had time to prepare ourselves.
The shock value isn't there.
But the lesson in that is, do we need to be reaching out to people now that we want to talk to and say, hey, you know what? You're pretty fucking awesome. Yeah.
A eulogy is just another love note, isn't it?
It is, but why don't we give it to the person so that they understand how much they mean to us, how strong that bond of affection is, and how much care and love is there. For some reason, society holds its back. And
will I be expecting a eulogy tomorrow morning? Is that what's going to happen?
We might have to do it once we finish the podcast, darling. But I'll bring you back to an experience that I've briefly mentioned to you, but I've been away and I've just come back. And while I was there, I went and went to catch up with my closest mate, longest mate, his dad, who lost his partner earlier this year. Again, a beautiful lifetime relationship of just
very devoted marriage.
Absolutely adored one another, which is something that we still see, but just not enough of anymore. Yeah. And when I got there, just by pure happenstance, my mate was there as well. And he's had a few challenges over the last 2 to 3 years. And it was just, I just remember hugging him, just saying, it's so amazing to see you. And it was. And it's one of those things, next time I see him, I'm going to take that a step further. Yeah. Because when it comes to that point where if he decides to go in the next short amount of time, I'm hoping I hope he gets his 150 years. Yes. But if he doesn't, I want to have expressed to him how he feels, how I feel about the relationship we've had for all those years. And maybe that's what we need to do so that we're more at comfort with death, is we need to be more honest and more caring and more open in life. Yes.
Yes. I love that. It's beautiful. Well, it's funny because I think there's an opportunity to even bring kids into these conversations so they can not get caught in that very superficial trap of just, being materialistic and worrying about what happens in any given day and what one sibling has done to the other and all the other benign bitching that happens day in and day out for those parents that get to hang out with their kids more. One of the things that I said to you before you went away on this trip and one of our kids overheard was I said, come back to me. And you said always, which was very sweet. Anyway, this kid was like, what do you mean? Dad's coming back. And I went, well, maybe. Like, you got to be aware that some people go off on a trip and they don't come back. I'm not forecasting it, but, you know, I want to convey to Dad, that was my version of basically saying to you that I love you and I'm very grateful for you and, you know, thank you for everything that you've brought to my life. That's what that meant, right? As in, I still choose you. That's what that statement was. It's not a needy come back to me. But the conversation that ensued with this Quanta kid was the fact that if we accept that we're going to live in the present moment, we must accept that death is one of the outcomes of any present moment. Any present moment, right? So not to forecast that death will occur and expect a certain timeline, but also to have a level of acceptance that my well-being does not rest solely on another human, because that is an incredibly narrow way for us to live our lives. It puts a lot of pressure on the other person as well. I mean, it basically means you have no free agency within that, or no sense of autonomy to be able to make decisions that are right for you. And so it was just a concept that I think was probably... Look, it's quite an adult concept, if I can phrase it that way, but it doesn't mean...
it's a big concept.
It's a big concept, but doesn't mean it's exclusive to older people. So, you know, there are plenty of older people that really don't even have the emotional intelligence that our kids exhibit. And so I think it was a big concept because what happened was this Quanta kid then had to think about the potential future where you're not there physically. And I said to them, it's a healthy thing because it brings reverence into relationships. As long as you're not going to mope on the fact that Dad's going to die, and he will at some point, whether you beat him or not is an unknown, and when that's going to happen is also an unknown. So we just appreciate what we have right now and what we've experienced in the past. But it was certainly, a big conversation, but one I think that is very healthy for kids because they really get caught up in...
Not just kids, for everyone. And this is part of that thing of, you know, imagine holding a grudge or, you know, giving someone a cold shoulder that you've had a bond of affection with for a long period of time over some trivial matter.
Yes. That
really means nothing, and never getting that opportunity to say, you know what... I feel, being honest, saying, you know, I feel like you did me wrong there and I haven't spoken to you for a while, but you know what, I still I still respect who you are. I still care about you. I still have this bond of affection with you. And I guess trying to then move past that. And then I know emotions and time and that can just seem insurmountable, but hanging on to these things...
the energy required is nuts.
It's just zapping you. It's just zapping you. So I think changing that lens, changing that perspective in your life of the people around you and saying to them, you know what, take that extra, give them that 30-second hug.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I got back, I had this beautiful long hug with you, which was just so heart-based and connected. And then out comes one of the Quanta kids who was home, and I get this amazing long hug. And then I hid in the house when one of the other ones came in and jumped out and just got absolutely launched on. Yeah. And just real close, tight connection hug. And then the last one who is always a little bit harder to engage, I hugged and I get these taps on my shoulder. Okay, right, Dad, I think you need to let go. And I said, you know what, I'm not finished yet. And so I hung on to the hug a bit more. And then when I was ready to let it go, I get this little reply back that says, I'm not finished yet.
You just had to break through that wall.
Yeah. So that reconnection back in there is amazing. And I'm, you know, as we said, we're not forecasting it, but we're aware that more and more people seem to be choosing not to be earthside anymore. And it's a reality of life.
That's right.
Having those connection times suddenly becomes so much more important. How do you wish, if it was me to go, how do I wish to be remembered? What do I want my children's takeaway to be? Do they want it to be when I'm completely unhinged because whatever's tipped me over the edge and I've lost my marbles and I'm, you know, not a good person at that point in time? Or do I want it to be that hug, that moment of connection and me saying I'm not done yet and just wanting to be in that space.
But I would argue that's none of our business anyway, what their lasting impression is of us. So, you know, like everything is given freely, right? So when I'm of service to the kids, I'm not doing it for a transaction of, oh, I hope they see me as a better mother than other options out there. Like, it's just not. It's just in that now moment I get to choose. Do I want to be of service to the kids right at that moment or not?
So what I'd say is, do you want to be remembered in a loving, positive light?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm actually not bothered by how I'm remembered,
see that,
right?
That's a big one for me.
Is
though.
it? Yeah, okay.
I know
an identity thing, darling.
It is, but I have a very tight connection, as you well know, to everyone that's in my inner circle, everyone that's my bonds of affection. I have a really, you know.
Yeah, it's very heart-based.
It is.
I think you're kidding yourself if you think you have the deciding vote, or you have some instrumental impact on how you are remembered. They will choose how they want to remember you.
They will, but what I'm hoping is what they're seeing most of the time is the better version of me, because I'm bringing that to them.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I am generous equally with the kids, and they all receive it differently. So that prism of perspective is always very different, and sometimes feels quite unfair. Maybe how I would come at this in the spirit of compromise and a happy marriage is how do I want to remember my interactions with those people? Yeah. Maybe that's how, because I really love deathbed goggles, and maybe that's death done well as well. That's an important ingredient, because deathbed goggles mean you get to put those on, and in any given moment you get to basically apply the litmus test of, would this bother me on my deathbed? Would this be something that I'd be like, I wish I had done that, I wish I hadn't done that? And when you put that through that lens, it helps shape how you behave and carry yourself in this world. And you get to stop sweating the small stuff, and you get to identify the small stuff that perhaps you're being gaslit out of caring to actually be far more of a priority. Say what we eat in any given moment, so that we're not feeding our body with chemicals. That's an important thing to me. I don't want to lie on my deathbed and think, oh, I'm so glad I, bought Maccas for the kids every week because it was easy. Like, I would be horrified if that was my version of parenting. I know everyone's going to do their own thing, but that stuff is shit. So I don't want to be that person. And so I love the fact that deathbed goggles can, bring, I guess, clarity and realignment back into your foundational values, which is so important. And then what you can do is you can carry those over, because you've applied the deathbed goggles to your life, to how then you hold space in someone dying and the aftermath. One of the things that I think we would probably be fairly unique in doing, or certainly better practiced, is how we deliver and hold space for people when they've had a loved one pass, but particularly a loved one that's passed suddenly. How do you do that?
Yeah. I guess having some empathetic nature, I'm always, and you talk about deathbed goggles, but and just obviously recently I had a funeral to go to, and I put myself in the shoes of the person that I was really there for, and where he would be sitting, and close person. So I've been to see him a couple of times, spoken on the phone since that, immediately after, and I would just felt the level of the bond that he had, and it was an unexpected death, and the sheer, and he wasn't, and there's a lot of other things tied up in the passing and that sort of stuff, and lots of other family supports and stuff, but he wasn't bogged down by poor me, I'm left here to sort this stuff out. There was the genuine loss, black statement, I know, but of someone that was that meant a lot to him.
Yeah, empty seat at the table.
Very much so. Empty seat right next to you.
Yep.
And when you can look at that and go, you know what, that person's really suffering, that person just needs the space held for them. Then
Which is not solving it for them, right? It's
Absolutely
literally
not.
just providing a container of energy for them to express their emotion.
sometimes people just know that they're safe
Yeah.
to be able to feel how they're feeling.
Well, I imagine it's a very unsafe feeling to have a loved one suddenly absent.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that's like the opposite of certainty, right? And it also feels probably, I imagine, very powerless as well. So you haven't been consulted. It's been what feels inflicted upon you because you're a hapless bystander, but it impacts your life too.
And your question was, how do I find the ability to hold space all the time?
Well, what
in
do you
that?
do? Like, give people a cheat sheet.
So, well, for me, as I said,
Yeah.
I literally put myself in that person's shoes.
Yes.
And I don't take on the weight of the emotion that they're feeling, but I look at it and go, these are the primary ones that I can feel, see, experience that are emanating from you, because we're at a very raw state.
Yes.
And instead of challenging any of those emotions, instead of doing anything, my sole purpose is just to come in and accept that, meet that person where they are at that point in time, and just let them express how they wish to express. And then when I walk away from that, I then take the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. And in this particular one, I drove home without the radio on,
Yes.
which I do quite a bit, and just went through the whole process of, how that particular one's feeling for him, what's come up for me, which for me always goes back to the ones that I've been close to and experienced to. It also goes back to ones I've dealt with through work. And I go, okay, I don't need to pick any of that up. And then the next time I see that person, I'm coming in with a fresh, clear plate
Yeah.
to pick them up at the same point they are again that time, that day, where they are. If they're at a low ebb, you know what, it's okay.
It's about not solving it for them. They
And
get to just be as they are.
No solving.
Fully accepted.
And if we brought that into everyday life as well,
Yeah.
we could,
Except when people are being shit. We don't want to accept that.
but we could revolutionise a lot of our relationships and a lot of
Yes.
the disharmony
Yes.
out there.
Yes. It's beautiful, darling. You didn't expect the conversation to go here, did you?
I absolutely had no idea.
You poor guy. There's a whole lot of people sitting out there going, oh, my God, she is hard work.
I'm just a deer in the headlights, babe.
We had to do a big conversation. It's episode 50.
Yes, and,
May it not be the death knell. There may not be a 51.
maybe kicking on to, maybe we'll do that next week. We might just flow straight into that one.
Is that what it is, the afterlife next week?
Might be safer.
Oh, my goodness. Quantifolk, thank you so much for joining us. We may or may not be back in a fortnight. We'll see how we go.
We'll be back. Remember, just, be genuine to those people around you so they know exactly how important they are.
Yeah, just be present. Be present and say the things you want to say unless they're really unkind. All right, beautiful Quantifolks, we will talk to you very soon. Go well and thrive.
Bye.
Beautiful Quantifolks. At QuantiMama, we have a mandate that we feel so passionate about. We want and we are raising the community's vibration and frequency and consciousness through parenting and birth experiences. Such incredible, transformational experiences that will shape you as a person and are the very fabric of life. If you want to find out how to high vibe your experience even more, then QuantiMama is your place. Head there for the High Vibe Birth course, Ultimate Preparation for Birthing. Head there if you want to re-engage your child in the love of learning for the Take the Leap course, which is a deschooling course for parents. There's beautiful mind movies, and obviously this podcast is there, and we are here to support you. So head there for all the juice. Beautiful Quanta folks. You know, at QuantiMama, we have a mandate that we feel so passionate about. We want and we are raising the community's vibration and frequency and consciousness through parenting and birth experiences. Such incredible, transformational experiences that will shape you as a person and are the very fabric of life. Do you want to find out how to high vibe your experience even more? Then QuantiMama is your place. Head there for the High Vibe Birth course, ultimate preparation for birthing. Head there if you want to re-engage your child in the love of learning for the Take the Leap course, which is a deschooling course for parents. There's beautiful mind movies, and obviously this podcast is there, and we are here to support you. So head there for all the juice.